When the sun fell behind the hills, and the last goat had been tied, the village of Idu disappeared, vanishing into thin air like smoke in the wind. No one could explain how. No one who had stayed behind ever returned. Except once, and he came back without a tongue, screaming through his eyes. Idu was a quiet village surrounded by thick forest, hills, and a river that sang like a child in the morning. The people were kind. The women pounded yam under tall mango trees. Children ran barefoot, laughing through the dusty paths. The men hunted, carved, and told stories by moonlight. But there was one strange thing about Idu. Every evening, just before sunset, a heavy bell rang 3 times. That was the sign everyone must leave. The villagers packed their things and walked to the next village, Ugoma, to sleep. In the morning, they came back like nothing happened. They lived like this for years. Nobody was allowed to ask why they left each night. It was the village rule. Even visitors were warned, when the bell rings, follow us. Don't ask questions. Don't look back. No one had ever broken the rule. Not until Oba arrived. Oba was 17 years old, bold and full of curiosity. His father, a trader from the city, died when Oba was little. His mother, now sick, asked him to find a special herb said to grow only in Idu. When he arrived, he was welcomed warmly. But he noticed something odd. People built houses, planted crops, and yet never slept in Idu. He asked why, and they only smiled nervously. One old man whispered, "Don't ask questions, boy. It's better not to know." But Oba was not afraid. That evening, as the sun dipped low, the bell rang, gong. 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 People dropped everything and began walking toward Ugoma. Oba followed but stopped halfway. He turned back. The old man saw him. "Boy. Don't be foolish," the man shouted. "You won't come back." Oba said nothing. He hid behind a tree, waited until the last villager was gone, and then crept back into Idu. Oba sat in the village square under a tree. Everything was quiet. Too quiet. Even the insects stopped singing. Then suddenly, a cold wind blew through the village. The air shimmered like heat waves. The houses began to fade. The ground shook. Shadows rose from the earth. Oba stood, heart pounding. Before his eyes, the village began to vanish, not all at once, but piece by piece. Roofs dissolved like ash. The well crumbled. Even the stars above seemed to flicker. Oba turned to run, but his feet were rooted to the ground. His mouth opened, but no sound came out. And then, a voice whispered behind him. "Why did you stay?" He turned and saw people, pale, glowing, with empty eyes. They floated, not walked. They reached for him, their fingers like smoke. These were the ones who stayed before, a voice echoed in his head. Now they belonged to the night. Oba ran. He sprinted through the dissolving paths, stumbling over shadows and whispers. Behind him, the ghost followed, whispering his name. Just before the last hut disappeared, Oba dived through the village gate. He landed hard on the road outside. The moment he crossed the threshold, everything stopped. The night returned to normal. Crickets chirped again. Idu was gone. Oba lay on the ground until morning. When the sun rose, the village reappeared behind him, all fresh, like it had never gone. The villagers arrived, laughing, carrying baskets. Then they saw Oba, dirty, trembling, eyes wide. They froze. They had seen that look before. Many years ago, a man stayed behind. He returned the next morning, but his tongue was gone. No one ever knew what happened to him. Now it was Oba. Oba didn't speak for days. His mouth could move, but his voice refused to come out. The village priest, Mama Ife, came to him. She prayed, rubbed his chest with oil, and whispered words in his ear. On the 7th day, Oba finally spoke. The village doesn't disappear. It changes. It turns into something else, a place between life and death. The people who stayed, they are still there. Trapped. Everyone was silent. Then the oldest elder nodded. That is why we live, he said. Long ago, Idu was cursed. A great sin was committed here. The land remembers. The night reclaims. Oba wanted to know the full story. So he went to the oldest woman in Ugama, called Ayamoma. She told him, long ago, Idu was a place of wickedness. The villagers mocked the gods, killed a sacred messenger, and buried him under the village square. The gods cursed the land, by day you shall live. But by night, the dead will rise and rule. No one could break the curse. But one day, the right person would come, the one brave enough to face the truth and lift it. Oba believed he might be that person. Oba didn't leave the village. He stayed, learned the stories, listened to the elders, and studied the sacred books. He believed the curse could be broken, not with magic, but with truth, courage, and sacrifice. He told the villagers, one night, I will go again. But this time, not to run. This time, I will speak to the ghost. They begged him not to. But he had already made up his mind. Years passed. Oba became a man, a teacher, a leader, a storyteller. Then one night, when the bell rang, he stayed behind again. The wind blew. The village shimmered. The dead returned. But this time, he did not run. He stood in the center of the square, right above the place where the messenger was buried, and said, We are sorry. We remember you. We honor your name. And for the first time in hundreds of years, the ghost stopped. The ground glowed. And the village stayed. From that night, Idu never disappeared again. The curse was broken. The villagers began to sleep in their homes. The land flourished. Birds returned. Flowers bloomed in the places where ghosts once stood. Oba became a legend. His name was sung in songs and carved in wood. And every year, on the night the curse was broken, the village held a festival with light, music, and laughter. Not to remember the fear, but to celebrate the one who stayed. Moral of the story. Sometimes, the only way to break a curse is to face what everyone else runs from. Fear hides the truth. But courage sets people free.